Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your Hell in a Cell 2021 review. And I'm joined by Spandan here. So, what you think about Hell in a Cell, Spandan?
Awesome pay-per-view. So waking up early in the morning for Indians for shows is not easy. So when you do wake up in the morning, you want to be satisfied with what you watch. And I was satisfied. All the matches delivered except some spots in matches. There's not a particular match that under-delivered. There's not a match that went bad. So in that case, the pay-per-view was very solid. So let's talk about it now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, pay-per-view was all right, I could say, in my opinion. And they have, set up, some of the, rematches, you could say, for the upcoming pay-per-view, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, they have because one match, the main event, ended in a roll up. So that's not going to continue, obviously, because we had that Drew, if he loses, he won't get a title shot until Lashley is champion.
We'll
So
talk
you
about that.
had Ripley and you had Ripley and Charlotte ending in DQ. You had Cesaro and Rollins ending in a roll up. So yeah, you are right that they're still keeping some for the future pay-per-view, which is Money in the Bank. But there are a lot of rumors and expectations that Cesaro will win the Money in the Bank briefcase. So the possibility of Rollins and Cesaro might decrease. But since Cesaro has got 2 wins, Rollins has got 1. So maybe they could do it. But the Raw Women's title, that's obviously going to be a rematch, probably with Nikki being added. So let's talk about it. But yeah, rematches is the thing these days.
We'll talk about the entirety of this pay-per-view. But before that, if you are new to Slam of Wrestling, then make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out our other content that you'll get in the description below. All links provided. So before we get into the main card of Hell in a Cell, and by the way, did you know that this was the last pay-per-view in the award-winning, critically acclaimed WWE Thunderdome?
Yeah, I do. I know it's the last pay-per-view and the days of shows in Thunderdome are ending. But to be honest, as wrestling fans, when we watch all of this stuff, don't you get sad a bit when something ends? So even though these are LED screens and all of that stuff, but the Thunderdome has a bit of a feel to it. I don't know why, but two things to say. First of all, Thunderdome Pyro. It has no match, absolutely no match. The opening pyro today to Hell in a Cell was god level. It was so good that you got hyped for the show even instantly with the fire and the pyro and all of that stuff. So yeah, they're leaving the Thunderdome, last pay-per-view in the Thunderdome. So yeah, it's exciting that crowds are coming back. You'll miss the Thunderdome, obviously, but you would rather have crowds than have LED screens. Second thing is congratulations on hitting 350 subscribers, Slam of Wrestling. So I would also urge the people who are watching this to subscribe so that it keeps increasing. So yeah, crowds are returning, Thunderdome era ending, but we've had awesome moments in the Thunderdome.
But about the Thunderdome, I didn't have problem with the LED screens. The problem I had was with the forced piping crowd noises, which really irked the shit out of me as a viewer. Watching through my home, watching through my TV or a laptop, whatever it could be. But yeah, man, the performers actually, at least they had some, sort of normalcy, you could say. So good for them, and it was kind of a success.
Yeah, absolutely. Thunderdome was a success, but it was bringing people together basically because when it started back in the SmackDown before SummerSlam, they go home. So the main idea was because the pandemic was so strong at that time, so it was just to make people happy, bring them together. And as Vince said, no one brings the thunder much like WWE. So yeah, Thunderdome has had awesome moments. It's been a good time watching. Probably the audio noise is okay. We'll talk about that because I think we can't do much of it because the reason they moved to the Thunderdome, they wanted some noises. But the Capital Wrestling Center, I've been vocal about this. I like the CWC more than the Thunderdome just because they had some NXT talent, some fans, and all the noises. They still included noises. But Thunderdome, you can't do anything because it will just feel like a bigger PC. it would just feel like LED screens. And if you don't include the noises, it would feel like a bigger performance center without any noise and without any crowd voices. So can't do anything about that. But happily it's ending. So crowds are going to be back, and I'm extremely happy for that.
So enough of the Thunderdome talk. Let's talk some wrestling here. So they actually had a kickoff show match. So it was Mandy Rose versus Natalya. I think they are, as of now, feuding. You could say this is the feud going on regarding the tag team championships. But the match was really good, man. Because and just realized that Mandy Rose is actually good in the ring.
Yes, because they got the kickoff show, they didn't get a lot of spotlight on the match. But, and I'll be very honest here, I did not watch the kickoff show. But after the main show, when I read all the reviews and all of that stuff, the most reviews after the main matches, of course, was that the kickoff match was really solid. So I went back, watched it, and it was too good. It was good based on the spot they got, the kickoff show. And talking about the feud, there's legitimately no other teams in the women's tag team division on the main roster. You have only two teams, so they will feud. They're just stretching it out. But yeah, Natalya is a veteran. You can't doubt her in the ring. She can't do bad in any situation. But for someone like Mandy Rose to hang in there with her, to perform at her level best is really good. And it's good to see that.
Yeah, like it's kind of unfair for Mandy Rose, you could say, to be in a tag team. Like she was in a very hot storyline with Sonya Deville, and when she got drafted to Raw, they kind of demoted her to a tag team with Dana Brooke.
Yeah, even her move to Raw, if you see it, it wasn't done well because the draft didn't happen. And the week before on Talking Smack, Miz spoiled it. Miz already told us that Otis is staying on SmackDown and Mandy Rose is going to Raw. So her draft meant nothing. She was already going to Raw. And yeah, she's a good singles competitor because earlier when she was with Sonya Deville in a team, at that time she was not such so good in the ring. Her knee, the patented knee strike that she takes, it wasn't really good. It didn't hit the face properly, but now she's improved a lot. And again, if you put her in a single scenario right now, you're just basically ending another team. So you have the women's tag team champions without challengers, which can't happen. So I think WWE should go out of the way, do something, just face the criticism for once, because they have faced the criticism, obviously. They've given us a lot of times what we want. But just take the criticism full on your face and end the women's tag team championships. They're obviously going to get a lot of hate from the so-called critics that, you had a championship, WWE has never done this and all of that stuff. But that would mean better because now you would have those teams as single superstars. Maybe keep them as a team. One of them gets a championship match. We've seen that in the past, right? You didn't have the women's tag team championship, but Iconics existed, the Riot Squad existed. So all of that has happened in the past. So that could happen. I think WWE should try it because only two teams exist right now. You can't bring in all the teams from NXT right now. So yeah, let's see what happens. But Mandy Rose as a singles competitor, I don't see it in the near future. Would I like it? Yes, I would.
So we see a lot of mat-based wrestling, which wasn't expected in a Mandy Rose match. Like I said, this was out of the blue, and she really did great. And Natalya is really a ring general, you could say. So as we get to the end, Natalya would win via a sharpshooter. So this match really got some good time, more than 5 minutes. So being on the kickoff show got them much time compared to if they did this match on a Monday Night Raw, just 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, true. Now, another thing, if they did this match on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown or any time, let's talk about Raw, not SmackDown. If they did it on a Raw, they wouldn't have got so many eyes on that match. The reason is because you generally see the women's tag team title picture comes in around the 2.5 hour spot or the third hour, basically, in the episode of Raw. So till that time, there are a lot of viewers who leave the show. So Raw is kind of bad, right? We've talked about this a lot. So they don't get that many eyes on them. but getting on the pay-per-view kickoff, which still these days when they've moved to the Thunderdome, people still watch it because we were getting random good matches on the kickoff show, like Sheamus and Ricochet had last time. So you get good matches on the kickoff show, and not turning it into a tag team title match was a very good idea, which I did not expect from WWE. They went out of the way and did a singles match. So that was a very risky move, but a very smart move. So they're skipping the title match for some more time and give it proper time, book it on a pay-per-view on the main card, and you'll probably get some viewers for that.
Let's see, but let's quickly get into the main card. So they opened up with the SmackDown Women's Championship match. So Bianca Belair is defending the title against Bayley inside Hell in a Cell. And by the way, just like what we talked about during the WrestleMania Backlash match, this whole feud is built around that Bianca Belair is still a rookie and Bayley is, a seasoned veteran, something like that. But this time, the element is that which woman can laugh better. That's the quote-unquote story for Hell in a Cell this time. So, like I said, during the main roster talk when I was predicting this whole pay-per-view, it felt like they didn't even needed Hell in a Cell, seeing the build. So, what was your take regarding this whole situation? Did they deserve Hell in a Cell as we were heading towards the pay-per-view?
Okay, so I didn't hate the feud, to be honest, because Bayley doing anything is good these days because she's probably in her prime. She's doing her best work since turning heel, and nowadays in the Thunderdome, when she doesn't have fans, she's ruling because she's proving that she doesn't need fans. So I didn't hate the feud, to be honest. Bayley and Bianca laughing at each other and doing all of that stuff. Bayley being the vicious heel here, kind of, taking control of the Thunderdome screens and adding herself in all of the monitors and all of that stuff. I didn't hate it at all. I liked the feud, to be honest, more than Sasha and Bianca. Sasha and Bianca's feud rivalry wasn't good. The match was exceptional, but the rivalry wasn't good. So Bayley and Bianca, I think, ruled the rivalry as well. And let's talk about the match because it was fantastic. And okay, talking about if they deserve the cell, I missed that. Yeah, so talking about if they deserve the cell, I think they did because after their first singles match, you already know that somehow Hell in a Cell is the spot where rivalries end. So Hell in a Cell being the second match that they have, I think it was a good choice. They needed the cell. Plus, since they moved Roman and Ray to, the episode of SmackDown, they needed another Hell in a Cell match. And they didn't want to give it to Cesaro and Rollins for some reason. So they gave it to Bianca and Bayley, which allows them to brag that women's Hell in a Cell matches have been going on for years and years. So yeah, they continued women's Hell in a Cell and they didn't disappoint even 1%.
So the match was, I could say, simple but good because they didn't went out of the way to do some crazy shit here because it's Hell in a Cell. But yeah, you could say it's a modern Hell in a Cell. So some things are toned down. But yeah, man, like I said, good match. And there was some storytelling elements like Bayley was targeting the shoulder of Bianca and also, continuously tying that braid into maybe a rope or a ladder or whatever whatever weapon there was inside the cell. So as we get to the ending, the final parts, so we see a ladder introduced. So Bayley was still going after the braid and tying it to either a chair or a ladder. So as Bianca was in the offense, Bayley really got tired of this shit and wanted to just leave the cage, but Bianca got the hold of her. So there was a spot where there was an open ladder setup. So Bianca hit the KOD on that open ladder, which looked brutal, and that was your finish. Bianca is still SmackDown Women's Champion, and it was kind of a predictable outcome. There you go.
Yeah, so talking about the match, comparing it to the other Hell in a Cell match, this match didn't have crazy spots. They weren't going through the table 1,000 times. They weren't smashing each other with chairs of 500 times. So it was a simple match, but used the cell very nicely. The minimum you have to do, the least you have to do is smash your opponent's face on the cell or back on the cell, which they did. And they used chairs, they used kendo sticks properly. Bayley is a veteran for a reason. In the Sasha match last year, she couldn't put the kendo stick from the ring to the cell because it was too small. So this time she tied it with a tape and she put the long kendo stick between the cell and got put through it herself. So they've learned very much. Bianca in her first Hell in a Cell match, she proved herself that why she is the EST of WWE, and Bayley carried herself really well. So good match, actually great match. So I've been doing this list of match of the year contenders, and throughout the show, this is the one match that I would happily add to it.
And by the way, you mentioned the kendo stick spot. The kind of botch they did in the last Hell in a Cell with Sasha Banks. So while doing this, so Michael Cole, showed that, mentioned that fact, and he was saying that, yeah, she learned from last year's mistake. And Bayley, when she heard Michael Cole telling that, she said, yes, Michael, shut up. The people know about it. Great stuff.
Yeah. People watch me, Michael. So that was amazing. And Pat McAfee as well. He's such a exciting guy. He's on commentary, and when the match was just beginning, he said Bayley has simply laughed her way into the match, which is true. She's just done that. But yeah, Michael Cole, veteran of commentary, and Bayley and Michael Cole having this short rivalry feud going on SmackDown. It's good to watch, and she's just improved so much. We can talk about Bayley after turning heel for hours and hours because she's become so damn good on the Broken Skull sessions that Austin did with Bayley. I enjoyed that episode so much, talking about how Bayley wanted to change things. She went to Vince and all of that stuff, and exceptional character work at its finest. I mean, there's Roman with the tribal chief stuff, and then there's Bayley's. Then there's Apollo with the Nigerian thing. Sami with the character of conspiracy theories. SmackDown is just ruled with characters. So yeah, Bayley is a wrestling god, to be honest, and this match was very good.
And by the way, you mentioned Pat McAfee. The guy is really turning out to be a great commentator, man.
Yeah, absolutely. On SmackDown, the pair of Corey Graves and Michael Cole was obviously very good. But today, when the first two SmackDown matches were over, when it was time for Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler, there were tweets, and Pat McAfee was trending on Twitter that we want Pat McAfee back on commentary. We are missing Pat McAfee. And the match hadn't even started. People were already saying that, please keep the SmackDown team, because they love the SmackDown team now. And what this is doing is Pat McAfee being there, this also brings spotlight to Michael Cole. Because Michael Cole is such a good commentator, but still does his fair bit of botches here and there. And Pat McAfee pointing it out so makes it funny and makes us believe that, okay, they are acknowledging it, that he's made a mistake. It's okay. And Pat McAfee is probably the biggest fan of Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. So they're having fun on SmackDown, and I love the commentary team. And now Raw has become better as well. The commentary team, not the show. I'm talking about the commentary team. It has become better. Jimmy Smith is doing well. He'll improve, obviously, but he's better than Mr. Work.
Let's see, man. But moving forward, so they showed, I think Bobby Lashley was seen, with his entourage of ladies he had. But MVP kind of, reminded him to, get into that Hell in a Cell zone, and, we see a serious look. So moving forward, we had a small promo from Alexa Bliss. So she was kind of being the, host of the show, and then hyping up her, match with Shayna Baszler. So we'll get to that. But let's talk about Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. I think this was a really good match to follow the opener here, because it wasn't better compared to that WrestleMania match, but it was good. And yeah, it was kind of a similar story too. Like Rollins is trying to be the accomplished guy here, while Cesaro, isn't getting there. That's the obvious story. And we also saw we also saw the story playing out in the match where Seth Rollins was trying everything he could, with his big moves and all to put down Cesaro, but Cesaro was just getting up, getting up, getting up. So as we get to the finish, Cesaro finally hit a big swing, and then it was looking like Cesaro, yes, he has the match under his belt, he's going to get the win here. But after the swing was done, Rollins, I think he was playing possum for 1 minute and he hooks him with a roll up and he just literally steals the victory here. So that tells us that this feud is quote unquote continuing. There's yet another match in this so-called rivalry we had. So what you think about the match? What you think about the finish? Talk to me, Spandan.
Yeah. So talking about this rivalry, Cesaro and Rollins, obviously we know, everyone knows, if they seriously watch wrestling, they are two best friends. They're really good friends in real life. So Cesaro and Rollins, obviously when you're good friends, I don't know how, but it somehow brings chemistry to your in-ring work as well. So the WrestleMania match was obviously better, as you pointed out. And talking about the entire scenario, this match, it was good, really good, but not compared to the WrestleMania match. Talking about the feud continuing, um, let's see what happens. I wouldn't want another match between them, but it's obviously going to happen. We know them. So I would rather see them have a Money in the Bank men's match qualifier on a weekly SmackDown. Obviously, publicized and, promoted for a week and then give them the main event spot, doesn't matter. So that would be a good end to the rivalry. And whoever wins probably wins the rivalry, goes to Money in the Bank, and it's over. So you can do that, because if Cesaro and Rollins happens at Money in the Bank in a singles match, then the ladder match that is happening, it's kind of getting obvious that Big E is going to win, because two names were popping up on who's going to win. It's Big E and Cesaro. If you don't put Cesaro, the intriguing factor of the match will be gone. Talking about the 2016 Money in the Bank, it was a good ladder match, but it was probably the least exciting because we knew Dean Ambrose is going to win. We did not even imagine anyone else winning. So you don't want such a match. So you want some intriguing factor to be there. You want some people who are watching to be like, okay, who is going to win? I don't know. But if you put an obvious winner, that would not be good. So talking about the feud, I would rather see it on a SmackDown episode with good build-up of a week as a Money in the Bank men's qualifier, then as a singles match again. Or if you do it, add some serious stipulation to it. Maybe an I Quit match, maybe a last man standing match, steel cage match, do something about it. Not a regular singles match. They've had it 3 times now.
But let's talk some highlights here. So the match didn't really start off from the right foot, because as Cesaro was making his entrance, Seth Rollins would blindside. So, like I said, Rollins was kind of really dominating the match, and really going after the eye of Cesaro. So this, as we're moving towards the end, Cesaro really got pissed, and he kind of took off the glove from Seth Rollins and just kicked it in the air. And we saw Pat McAfee hit some football reference, which really cracked me. So, like I said, so Rollins would eventually win the match via a roll up, literally stealing the victory here. Let's see where it goes. And I actually liked your pitch that they could do this in a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank to really cap off the feud.
Yeah, because the men's Money in the Bank, obviously we know it's going to be an 8-man match, as it regularly happens. Last year they did it in a 6-man match because they did a different style of a ladder match. They didn't have the regular Money in the Bank ladder match, so they didn't want so many people to be clubbed on. So they did a 6-man, but this year, now we're regularly doing the proper Money in the Bank match. There are going to be 4 spots. Cesaro and Rollins should not be in the match together. They should not be in the match together. It cannot happen. So one of them goes to the Money in the Bank ladder match. I seriously don't care who, because both of them are so good that they'll obviously do some fun spots in the match. I want Big E to go, obviously, but coming to the point, being in a qualifier match would rather increase the stakes, to be honest. they're feuding just because they hate each other right now. And now it would give them some stake that, okay, we're going to enter a Money in the Bank match, which would probably give us a shot to take down the tribal chief or the Almighty. So raises the stakes, and obviously I would like to see a qualifier match than a singles match again.
Let's see, but moving on. I think this was the, you could say, negative of the entire pay-per-view. I'm talking about Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. So I really don't have any interest to talking about what's the history between of result of getting this match. But can you give us a small briefing on how did we get to this point?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I saw on the Hell in a Cell promo package, because as all of you people who are watching Slamhub Wrestling, I also don't watch Raw. So I'll tell you what happened in the promo package. So it was Shayna Baszler who was invited to Alexa's playground, where she smashed Lily, who is apparently a doll for Shayna Baszler, but a god figure for Alexa Bliss. So what happens is Shayna is scared off after smashing the doll. She goes backstage where she looks into a mirror, obviously. Like, wow, she goes into a closed room to save herself. And of course, there's a mirror. And of course, Lily is sitting behind her. And they take the proper time, not like the Randy Orton and Deadman segment in the past, where they instantly took the camera to the other side to show that Taker is not there. They took their time, focused on Shayna. The cameraman went, took out Lily from there. Then they moved to the other side. Stupid. So I did not like the thing. They put it on the main event of a 3-hour show. What are you expecting? People want to sit for 2 hours and 50 minutes and watch 10 minutes of this? No, they don't. And let's talk about the match, because the match was far more interesting than the entire story, because they don't have any history. But I'm very happy that Shayna Baszler is back to being a single star. Or is she? Because Nia is still there. And old Reggie, man, if I see that guy, I want to kick him in the nuts. I just hate him. I don't know what he's doing, but apparently we've heard that Vince McMahon loves Reginald and his work in the ring and all of that stuff. So yeah, let's talk about the match. It was better than the story.
And I actually didn't expect them to have an actual wrestling match, because Shayna Baszler, at least for the beginning parts, at least a minute or so, was really, having a traditional wrestling match, really going after Alexa Bliss. Even Alexa Bliss was doing somewhat of wrestling, you could say. So what happened was Baszler was doing her traditional, joint manipulation, bending the arms, twisting it. So Alexa Bliss kind of no-sold it, because she is a supernatural character. So, and actually started laughing in the face of Baszler. And there was some story that she was actually trying to hypnotize Shayna Baszler, but Shayna Baszler was kind of avoiding it. Also, Reginald, I think he experienced this in the past. So he was trying to avoid the hypnotization, but poor Nia Jax, man, she forgot for 1 second and everything went downhill. So let's get to the finish of the match, man. So after all this shit was going on, Baszler was kind of distracted, and I think Bliss hit the Twisted Bliss, right, to get the win, right?
Yeah, she hit the Twisted Bliss to win the match.
So that's the entire match, and I got nothing else to say.
I've got a lot to say, because Nia Jax, okay, that slap to Reginald was louder than Adam Cole's slap to his leg during a super kick. That was too loud. Nia Jax went like this. Alexa did this in the ring, and Nia slapped the shit out of
that was at least one of the spots that actually made me laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. If they tried to make us laugh, then good job, WWE, you are successful. But if you try to scare us, you've done a terrible job. So Shayna Baszler, okay, you've asked me a lot of did you know questions. I want to ask you something. Did you know that it's been 14 months since Shayna Baszler has had a singles pay-per-view match?
When was the last singles match she had on a pay-per-view? Is it the WrestleMania one?
WrestleMania 36 against Becky Lynch.
That
It is
was
terrible what this has led to, because she came in such a beast, eating off the neck of Becky Lynch, brutalizing everyone in the Elimination Chamber, then getting the WrestleMania match, and for God knows what reason they didn't give the title to Baszler. So it's been 14 months. Obviously, you should check your facts, but it's according to me, it's been 14 months that she's not had a singles match. Yeah, the match was decent, less than decent to be honest, but I did not even expect the match to happen. Like you said, I thought that something supernatural would happen and Shayna would eventually lose. And I was shocked to see people on Instagram and Twitter even picked Shayna Baszler to win the match. So yeah, decent-ish, but where is this leading? What is going to happen? When crowds return, I think they are going to start doing Alexa Bliss segments in the ring and on the ramp and all of that stuff. They'll stop the backstage segments because they want this story to get some hype. Eventually, they've been doing it since past December when Randy Orton burned the Fiend. It's been continuing since then. So they want the story obviously to be good because they've given it so much time. So let's see what happens. But like the Xylee and Tian Shah and all of that stuff going on in NXT, this is equally disinteresting, uninteresting. Sorry.
I'm actually pitching on the main roster talk podcast that if Bray Wyatt returns, the story should be that he should quote unquote kill Alexa Bliss for good, at least, and then she could go back to being normal Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, it could happen, but I'll tell you a theory from this YouTube channel called Pilana Productions.
Oh,
It's
God.
one of my favorite wrestling pages. So it says that Alexa Bliss is the one who is the Fiend. Because when at WrestleMania, Alexa had that black liquid on her face and she was sitting on top of the box. The Fiend was like this, and it was like he lost something. And his theory is that Alexa Bliss is the new Fiend. Talking about when Bray Wyatt returns, what is he going to do? Because the Randy Orton thing is over, obviously over, because Orton is now with RK Bro and all of that stuff. And there is proper news that it will continue for a long time. RK Bro is not splitting up. So when the feed returns, the obvious target is Alexa Bliss. So do we see an intergender match between the Fiend and Alexa Bliss against Lily or all of that stuff? I pitched to some people that, on the Instagram and Twitter and all of that stuff, that Lily could be turned into Nikki Cross. And then after all the character work, after promos, you have another tag team in the women's tag team division. All of that could have happened. But again, they're not doing anything interesting. But when Bray returns, that gives us more reason to watch Raw. That gives us one reason to watch Raw, I would say, because there is no reason till now. So let's see what happens. But right now, there's nothing much to talk about in the story.
I think they will automatically end this whole charade with Alexa Bliss because you heard the reaction they got at WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, they had a lot of BS chants and all of that stuff, so nothing major is going to happen in the story.
Yeah, they are going to quickly end when they are full on with the touring and stuff.
When touring begins, let's see what happens. But right now, I don't think something major will happen. When touring begins, I obviously said they'll move on to the ramp and they'll do in-ring segments rather than doing the backstage segments and all of that stuff.
I say I give it till SummerSlam. That's where we get the whole blow off.
But when is Bray returning? He's dealing with some serious mental issues after Brody Lee's death. So hopefully he gets stable whenever he returns. And they're obviously not forcing him to return. They're giving him his time because he returned after the WrestleMania match. He was there, but let's see what happens because he's not happy yet. So when he comes back, it's his choice. It could be that he gets motivated, that crowds are coming back, he wants to perform in front of them, and all of that stuff happens. But yeah, SummerSlam, Lily versus Fiend, Alexa versus Bray, something happens. I would be interested to watch that.
There you go. But let's talk about Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. So I don't know, man. For some reason, whatever happened in this match, I think this was my match of the night. B, I don't know if Kevin Owens really got injured or he's the just greatest seller in all of wrestling.
Yes, because when that spot happened, I got scared a bit. When that spot happened, he moved out of the ring quickly. He did not sell the, top rope splash or somewhat like that Zayn did. He immediately ran down to the commentators and where the cameraman and ring announcers sit, and he did some signal. This is obviously the signal, I think, for injury, because I saw it when Ivar got injured. He did that splash and he got injured. He did this. So this is probably the injured signal. So I got scared that he's injured or not. But if he's not, I'm saying if he's not, put that in brackets. If he's not, then Kevin Owens is the best seller in the entire wrestling business. Because the way he sold it, every single fan watching, I can assure this, that the fans were scared. Is he actually injured? That is the level of selling he did. And even Zayn was a bit, problematic in the match when he got injured, when Owens got injured. He did not know whether to attack or not, but then he chatted with the referee, I think, for a bit when he got the confirmation that he's not injured. So he went on and targeted the arm and all of that stuff. But Owens, with one arm, did the stunner, with one arm, did all the moves. And even the, reverse suplex that Zayn does, that was completed without the arm of Owens. So yeah, incredible selling. Now let's talk about the match, because this is also a match of the year contender added to the list. And my match of the year was obviously Bayley and Bianca. Match of the night, I apologize. So let's talk about the match now.
But before we talk about the highlights, I kind of didn't want to see yet another Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Like, I didn't feel like watching a this match particularly on the pay-per-view. I think, and by the way, I also mentioned on the main roster talk that they should be fighting for something more important, not just that Owens is very annoyed with Zayn.
No, actually, the question is, do you ever get disappointed when these two step in the ring in a singles match? The answer obviously is capital letters NO. You don't. They obviously perform really nicely. But the scene is, there is never a Owens-Zayn rivalry where Owens is the face. This is the change in this rivalry. Owens is the face, Zayn is the heel. And obviously they want Sami Zayn to have something going on in the lines of, character work of conspiracy theories and all of that stuff. They want that to continue. So they need something to go in the lines of Owens versus Zayn and all of that stuff. He's not winning the IC title. Owens is not doing anything. Put them in a match. I don't find it any problem to be there. But, they had to fill the pay-per-view spot. So 6 matches needed to be there on the card. And they added Owens versus Zayn, which obviously over-delivered and was a good match.
But our main concern was not the storytelling in the match, but is Kevin Owens injured or not? That was the most intriguing, you could say.
Yeah, because Kevin Owens, he got injured in that spot of the splash that, Zayn did. That was the spot where he got injured, and he immediately rushed to the corner and asked for help and all of that stuff. So all of us fans were scared that something has happened to Kevin Owens, but he completed the match. But we have to wait for SmackDown for the official report, or the millions and billions and trillions of wrestling pages that deliver rumors and news. So we'll probably get the confirmation that he's injured or not even before SmackDown.
So this match was just announced on the last SmackDown, where Owens was in a tag match with Big E facing Apollo and Commander Aziz. So this is the same match where Commander Aziz, he hit his finisher, the Nigerian nail. So this, quote unquote, you could say, messed up Owens' throat, and he was actually selling when it came to the match. But I think plans got changed for Mr. Owens when he took that big, Zayn hit that dive, and that's where the entire complexion of this match changed. But they were really trying their best to have a competitive match. You talked about the reverse exploder and Owens actually hitting the stunner uh, outside the floor. And I thought for 1 second that this is going to be the finish. Sami Zayn is not going to make the 10 count, but he entered and he broke the count. So Owens is really injured at this point, and Zayn really got the opportunity to hit the Helluva Kick and get the win. So yeah, if they are continuing, obviously they are continuing the storyline, but Zayn has finally got a win in this whole rivalry. So yeah, there you go.
So if they're continuing the rivalry again, okay, so this is the rivalry compared to Cesaro and Rollins that we know is not going to Money in the Bank as a singles match. This is obviously not. So you imagine Owens and Zayn and Cesaro and Rollins, two Hell in a Cell rematches, two WrestleMania rematches as Money in the Bank qualifiers. That would be awesome. End the rivalries in those ways. So that would be good to watch. And the match, to be honest, picked up after the injury that, injury or not, we don't know. But after that spot happened with Zayn and Owens, the sheer, passion of these two against each other, to be honest, such good friends, as we talked about Cesaro and Rollins, the slaps, the punches, we could hear them. And I was trying to find a spot where they're hitting themselves for the noise, but they weren't. They were actually hitting the punches. Sami started bleeding from the lip. So all of that was happening. So it was true, it was honest, it was passionate, brave, and it was a really, really good match. But talking about, is this leading to another match? We have to wait for Owens' official update of his injury. So yeah, let's see what happens. But you talked about Commander Aziz. I was impressed by his debut. I was not unhappy. I liked the debut that he did. But God, please give him a good finisher. So let's see what happens in the future. Owens and Zayn, two of the best in the world.
You just want a good finisher, not a good outfit?
Yeah. So yeah, you do need a good outfit. I was expecting him to take off that jacket and then fight, but he kept that jacket and did all that stuff. But again, you don't know what people are going to do. Imagine Undertaker wrestle with his jacket on. It would be stupid, right? So let's see what happens. They'll probably build him up. It's been really short, so let him have the time and all of that stuff. But in ring, Dabakato, you did a good job.
But I was actually pitching for Owens versus Zayn to have a feud for the Intercontinental Championship. But then you have to figure out whether you want to get the title of Apollo Crews, because as a character he's really doing a good job, and the championship on him is making him feel even more important. But that could be that could be the potential direction they could go towards.
No, I don't want Apollo to lose the IC title now because he's doing good character work. And Owens and Zayn, both of them are former Intercontinental champions. And we've seen this feud 1,000 times probably. So just adding a championship to that feud won't mean anything. And I think they've mostly had non-title feuds. The only title feud they had, I think, was the first one, which was for the NXT championship. So adding the Intercontinental title would obviously raise the stakes for the rivalry, but taking the title of Apollo right now doesn't make sense because he still has another person to take care of, which is Commander Aziz. While he's the Intercontinental champion, Aziz gets attention because he's standing in with a champion. He's standing with the secondary champion of Friday Night SmackDown. So Aziz also gets the spotlight. There's another character rising alongside Apollo Crews. So if you take the title off, then the spotlight gets down from both of them, which I don't want right now. So no, let's not enter a title feud with Zayn and Owens.
But moving forward, they had a small video package for Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio from SmackDown. It was inside Hell in a Cell. It was kind of a good match. Roman Reigns was decimated. Rey Mysterio, quote unquote, killed him. So there you go. We had to have a small little presence of the tribal chief on the pay-per-view. So yeah.
I miss him, man. Pay-per-views need Roman Reigns. Pay-per-views need Roman Reigns. Because when you watch a pay-per-view, I want to hear that amazing theme song. I want to see him with the title. I want to see him beat someone up. So, yeah, Roman Reigns is money right now. So, not putting him on a pay-per-view was a risk, to be honest. But they pulled off a good pay-per-view still. So yeah, let's see what happens. But Ray versus Roman, the feud still is not over. So yeah, I miss talking about Roman Reigns. I did NXT reviews with you. I've only done the WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view review. So I've talked about Roman Reigns with you only once. So yeah, I just wanted to speak out something. So let's continue.
Let's get into the Raw Women's Championship match. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. And you could say, no, there was 99% a possibility that Charlotte Flair is definitely, getting the title here, beating Rhea Ripley. But was kind of shocked, you could say, that they are still continuing this feud. But what did you think about this match and the outcome with a no DQ finish?
Hmm. So talking about three things. First is Charlotte winning the title. Second is the match. Third is the outcome. Let's talk about Charlotte winning the title. I did not expect Charlotte to win the title. I mean, there were some people who were expecting Charlotte 14 to happen, but I did not because there have been heavy rumors that Becky Lynch is going to return once the crowds are back. So the rumored match for SummerSlam is Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. So, and these are not light rumors, there are heavy rumors for this. So I did not expect Charlotte to win the title. But since they do not have a single star for Rhea Ripley to go through till she gets to Becky Lynch, because you still have that barricade of Money in the Bank. The Raw Women's Championship probably needs to be defended at Money in the Bank. So they want to have another match at Money in the Bank for the Raw Women's title. But if I was there, I would pitch a ladder match in a triple threat match. Please put Nikki Cross in this match because she's been beating both the champion and the challenger again and again and again, but she's getting nothing. So that adding one superstar to the dynamic would change a lot of things. And since it's Money in the Bank, it's the name of the pay-per-view. It means ladder matches. Let's do a triple threat ladder match. That would mean so much. But I doubt WWE will put 3 ladder matches in the pay-per-view because they want the spotlight to be on the 2 briefcase matches. So let's see what happens. But this match is going to happen again. The match itself was not so good, to be honest, because there were a million spots probably where they were missing each other. There is a video on Instagram where Charlotte was kicking in the air and people said John Cena was there, but nobody noticed. So, yeah. So that was too bad. So all of that was happening and the match itself wasn't really good. Outcome, obviously they're going to do it at Money in the Bank. So yeah, they finished in a DQ.
And the match, you said the match quality was, it made the viewers, didn't really care about it because we've seen some really good matches and it was really not in a good spot to care about it and be invested. Like it was a dead spot, you could say.
Yeah, because the other 4 matches that had happened, leaving Alexa and Shayna, which was decentish because it was not too bad. So the other 4 matches had delivered properly. Bianca and Belair ruled. There was Owens and Zayn who had a mega match. They had Cesaro and Rollins who had a great match. They had Baszler and Bliss who had a decent match. So yeah, they were following up after a tough spot. And after this, people were getting tired and saying, let's get to the main event because is Lashley retaining? Is McIntyre winning the title finally? Is Lesnar retaining? Lesnar returning? All of that is going to happen. People just wanted the main event. So less viewers for this match. And we've seen it already. Ripley versus Charlotte in the past. So we're obviously going to get it again because apparently someone has told Vince that fans want Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair again. So we are going to get that at Money in the Bank probably, but not happy.
And by the way, is Rhea Ripley being portrayed as a heel? Because she was most of the match coming off a lot heelish.
No, I don't think because Charlotte Flair is the heel right now and watching the bump last night, hyping up the pay-per-view that they were, Charlotte Flair was smiling and she was a good person by heart and all of that stuff. And Evan T. Mack, the guy that is there in three panel analysts, he said that I see a very, vague and stylish and heelish character behind that smile of Charlotte Flair. So Charlotte is obviously playing the heel here, but Rhea Ripley is, since coming to Raw, it's been quote unquote confusing. She directly gets a title match for no reason. It's not like she didn't lose the title in the past, so she wants a rematch. So she directly comes, beats Asuka, goes through Asuka and Charlotte once, and then they give us a stupid reason that Charlotte wasn't pinned. Then imagine the number of triple threats we've had. There is obviously one person who's not pinned. It doesn't mean that he's going to get another match. So yeah, stupid reason, but Rhea Ripley's reign has not been good. Not been good at all. No one can convince me that it's been good because neither the matches are delivering at a high level. The WrestleMania Backlash triple threat was good, but the stories have been really poor and they're making a fool out of her, losing a beat the clock match and all of that stuff. So let's hope that it gets better once Lynch returns because I don't like Becky Lynch. I don't like her because her in-ring skills and all of that is not good for me. But obviously, people love her, the man, and all of that stuff. She obviously brings numbers. That is true. I wouldn't deny that. So once she returns, I think she'll handle Rhea Ripley well.
I think Becky, if she returns, she is going to SmackDown because of obvious reasons.
What is the obvious reason? Rollins.
Yep. I think WWE likes to put the couples in a single brand, and it would be better for the couples itself. So Becky is going to SmackDown.
Becky going to SmackDown feuding with Bianca and all that stuff. Let's see, because I also read that Becky is on the SmackDown roster, added to the SmackDown roster or something like that. So she could be going to SmackDown, but if she does, then who is going to face Ripley at SummerSlam? That's going to be the big question because SmackDown, even if you have 3 superstars, they'll continue it for a year and I'll still watch it because the writing is so good. So on the issues on Raw, you need viewers on Raw, you need Lynch on Raw. But again, if you want to put a couple together, you have to. But down the line, maybe we see another mixed tag team match for 2 championships and all of that stuff. So that could happen, but I would rather see Lynch on Raw.
If she is willing to take that risk, then she can come to Raw.
Yeah, but because now after the Thunderdome, they'll start traveling again. So you still have to do the shows. I think live events will begin. All of that will happen. So traveling will be an issue. So you won't be together for a lot of time. So she would rather want to be on SmackDown because now there's a baby as well. So you have to take care of that as well. So they would rather be on SmackDown. And now, as I say all of this, I'm believing myself that yes, she is going to SmackDown.
I kind of think she's not going to be a full-time, being in every Raw or every SmackDown or every live event. She's going to be making, small appearances here and there. Kind of like
No,
Edge.
I don't think so.
She's going to be in an Edge-like appearance, like do this whole program, and once the program is done, she's going to be off TV.
That's, I think, going over the board a bit because Becky Lynch, why would you want Becky to go part-time? Because she's right now doing nothing. She comes back, she's the big name. If you put her part-time, then you're basically what is the word I'm looking for? You're basically reducing the number of viewers. So I don't think she should work part-time. She should work a full-time job. So let's see what happens now.
Yeah, that's why I made the reference to Edge because he comes in, works the entire story and works the entire Raw or SmackDown, if needed, and he goes away. So even Becky Lynch could do that, knowing that she's a mom now and there are certain responsibilities. But let's see, man. Let's see whether if she's in a literal full-time basis or kind of a part-time. But yeah, man. So we were talking about Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. The match was kind of decent, but they did put in some effort. They were trying to tell some stories where Charlotte was targeting the knees of Rhea, but Rhea was kind of trying to fight back. So I want to really jump into the finish where the no DQ happened. So both women were fighting on the outside near the announce table. So I think it was Charlotte, or I think it was Rhea, who took the cover of that announce table and whipped it across the opponent, and that causes a DQ. And actually, in technicality, the referee shouldn't have DQ'd it, because it's kind of a normal thing, bashing the opponent into the table and just continuing. But referee decided to, have this a no DQ. But there you go.
Yeah, because WWE no DQ matches are stupid. They just don't know how to book it. So you can smash your superstar's opponent's head on the table. You can do a Randy Orton back bomb or something like that on the announcement table. If it breaks, then it's no DQ. Don't break it. So the tip is, Randy, smash your opponent on the table. Don't break it. So I don't know, but since it was used as a weapon, the superstar wasn't smashed onto it. It was used as a weapon and thrown. That's the reason, I'm trying to make myself believable. So, used as a weapon, that's why it was called a DQ. But the reason obviously is clear. They're continuing the feud. They don't have any other big name on Raw.
But you pitched the possibility of Nikki Cross being added. I kind of pitched it happening at SummerSlam, because it's, if Nikki Cross gets the gets the Raw Women's Championship, then it's going to be somewhat of a big moment.
Oh wow, that would be so good to watch, because she's a two-time women's tag team champion. So let's see what happens, because Nikki Cross even posted it on Twitter that about Miss Money in the Bank. So that could also happen. So let's see what happens, because does Nikki Cross have the spot on Raw just to get some attention out of Ripley and Charlotte, or is she actually getting the push that we are not expecting she is? So let's see what happens. But SummerSlam, I don't think it should happen. If Lynch is obviously returning, Lynch has been teasing a return since TLC. So her return has been teased since Asuka having a random partner, which turned out to be Charlotte Flair. So all of that has been happening since December. I hate Becky Lynch for this, because when she returns, it's going to be a big pop. So I don't think she's returning in the Thunderdome. Money in the Bank is going to be the match where Nikki Cross, Charlotte, and Ripley have that. And then, because Money in the Bank has a crowd, then she returns. Or surprise superstar in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
I have a small pitch for SummerSlam regarding Becky Lynch if she's back. Book her a singles match between Bayley, and there you can go from there.
Okay, that would be really good storytelling, because we know that among the four horsewomen, this is the one feud that hasn't happened properly, because Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, Charlotte, all of this has happened, but we've not had Bayley and Becky Lynch in a feud. So yeah, that would be good, but a women's non-title feud, you really think WWE will do that? Let's see, because today's pay-per-view, if you notice, the 7 matches, there were more women's matches than men's matches. So there were 4 women's matches, there were 3 men's matches. So yeah, WWE is trying to do something with the women's division, which apparently they're not doing in the past few months. So let's see what happens. But Becky and Bayley, I would be down for that.
See, it's so easy to book WWE.
Yeah, Bruce Pritchard, fire him. Bring Suprit and Spandan. We're bookers, man. Send Suprit to Raw. He'll handle Raw. I don't want to go to Raw, please. I'll go back to SmackDown. I'll handle with Paul Heyman. I'll meet my tribal chief, and all of that will happen.
And shall we get into the last match for the WWE Championship?
Yeah, let's do it. Disappointed with the main event.
Did you?
Totally.
Let's see. It was Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, WWE Championship inside Hell in a Cell. So the stipulation was not official, but Lashley demanded that if McIntyre lost, then this is it for McIntyre. He isn't getting a title shot until Lashley is WWE champion. But match, you could say, was it was good, So it was your typical horse fight between these two big men. And what did you think about this match and the stipulation? Because I think the stipulation is what disappointed you, right?
You got me right. Wrong. The match is what disappointed me. So the stipulation was obviously official. It was not cancelled. It was official on Raw. Both men wanted one thing from each other. So Lashley said that I want you to confirm that if you lose by any means, you are not going to get a WWE Championship match until I am champion. And McIntyre in return asked that if McIntyre in return asked the cell match. He said that I want the normal match to be converted to Hell in a Cell match. So yeah, these were the terms and conditions. The match was bad for me, really bad for me, because there were extremely many spots. There were several spots where they were going through the cell or smashing themselves on chairs or doing something where clearly the hand was hitting on the chair. The first, flatliner that Lashley delivered to, McIntyre on the chair, this happened on the chair. His face was nowhere near. When MVP came in, MVP went through the apron, his face didn't hit. He went to the, post, his face didn't hit. McIntyre and Lashley beat each other up. They were doing some crazy spots for no reason. They should have watched the first match between Bianca and Bayley. That was the first match. Yours is the main event. You have so much time to watch and prepare. So they didn't do so many crazy spots, but their match was better. You could have done normal matches. They went through two tables. They smashed each other on the floor, smashed each other with steel chairs, kendo stick, this, that, locked McIntyre in the corner. So too much for a Hell in a Cell match, to be honest. And there were a lot of missed spots because I want to see a proper punch. I don't want to see this and the face being here. No contact at all. So I did not like the match.
Let me tell you something. Lashley is not known for being a good seller. That's one of the reasons why people call him the most confused man on earth.
Yeah, but to be honest, they call him the most confused man on earth, but he's the WWE champion. And most of the spots that I'm talking about not hitting properly are McIntyre spots. That was McIntyre selling, not Lashley's. And McIntyre has a bad habit, which he has still continued, that when he's facing a kick or a corner punch, he reacts early. Have you noticed this? He almost goes to the corner and already reacts to the punch. This happens with Roman Reigns and McIntyre. When Roman Reigns delivers the patented slap to the face, McIntyre reacts too early. So I think it was McIntyre's fault for some of the spots. But yeah, Lashley is not the best in-ring worker, to be honest, but he can handle himself. He's not bad.
And I actually like this match because originally it was kind of similar to the WrestleMania match. And I actually like the WrestleMania match. And because we saw a lot of similar type of, storytelling or, spots. So let's get into the highlights. So early on, so there was kind of a back and forth between the two big men. They were already going for some big spots. So we see MVPs, the walking stick or cane, you could say, being introduced in the match where Lashley used it. So there was a spot that they did with MVP involved where McIntyre was in the corner of the cell, and MVP kind of tied him with a you could say kendo stick, which I think they saw it from the New Day Usos match a couple of years ago. So they did that. So there was one point where we saw a ref bump where I think it was McIntyre being pushed or something like that. Yeah. So we saw a ref bump, and they did give a hope spot for McIntyre where he hit the Claymore, but there was nobody to count it. But a second referee did come in, and along with him came in MVP, and he stopped that count. So McIntyre's attention went towards MVP. So he beat him up around the ring, hit the Claymore. So it was back to Lashley and McIntyre. I think McIntyre, sent him through a table. So Lashley also went through a table before this whole shenanigans. So as we get to the end, so McIntyre was about to get the victory again with a second Claymore. This was about to be the end of it, but MVP grabbed the leg of McIntyre. So there was somewhat of a distraction. Lashley won via roll-up. Lashley is still your WWE champion. So according to the stipulation, McIntyre doesn't deserve yet another WWE title shot. But being in WWE, they are definitely going to put McIntyre back into the title picture, and I won't be surprised.
No, I don't think he should be added to the title picture with the stipulation that was there. So let's see what happens. But even the two Claymores. The Claymore to MVP didn't connect. It was just a leg slap. The Claymore to Lashley didn't connect. So I don't know what was happening there, but they weren't connecting anything. So yeah, the punches and hunches and steel chairs and sticks were connecting, but the match is punches and kicks. Do that. So they weren't doing that properly. But talking about the result, I don't think McIntyre will enter the picture until and unless, Lashley is celebrating with Lashley's ladies, as they call, and MVP in the middle of the ring. And then the Scottish beats again begin and McIntyre is there. I would get pissed off because I'm done with this story. It's been going on for too long. And please bring back the bloody beast, bring back Lesnar and do something. But it's so problematic that Heyman has entered with Reigns and there is no such possibility of Lesnar retaining because the rumors are reducing. Instead of increasing, they're reducing that Lesnar is returning. So yeah, Lashley's next challenger, okay, let's just put it out there. I would love to see a Lashley versus Shelton Benjamin match, just a one-off feud, not a long stretched one, but a one-off feud at Money in the Bank. Shelton has never had this big match. Let him have that big match, or maybe Kofi or someone like that. So let's see what happens in the future. But Lashley winning via roll-up was a bad thing to do because now I feel please don't do McIntyre and Lashley again. But since he's won by a roll-up, MVP was there. McIntyre will say, again, you got me cheated. You didn't allow me to face him fair and square. You're not a real champion and all of that stuff. But please, a new feud.
So, does that mean McIntyre now is off the title picture? So, I think he's one of the guys that is going to enter Money in the Bank.
Yeah, he could be. Now, yeah, smart choice. Because now that Lashley is champion, McIntyre's not getting a direct match. You could just build a story. I don't want McIntyre to win Money in the Bank, please. But you could build a story that I'm entering Money in the Bank. And then if I win Money in the Bank, you don't have a choice. I will cash in on you. So that could be a thing they do with him. But now that if McIntyre is not entering the Money in the Bank picture, this is what I propose for SummerSlam. The Sheamus and McIntyre feud that happened early in the year. They had 3 matches. So they had one at Fastlane, which was a no-holds-barred match, and they had 2 regular matches on Raw. So many people have said that this should have been the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania, Sheamus and McIntyre, because it was so good. These two have so good chemistry in the ring. They don't do bad spots. They have tremendous matches. So yeah, for SummerSlam, I would love to see a Sheamus versus McIntyre for the United States Championship. Because if McIntyre wins that, given that championship, that makes him a Grand Slam champion as well. So you could do that. So I would love to see Sheamus and McIntyre go for it. That would also mean US title means more because these are 2 major stars.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that they will put McIntyre in the US title picture. It could be me more intriguing, make the US title mean something, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, because they've showed us that these young generation are going after Sheamus, Mansoor, Ricochet, Umberto. So yeah, you could doubt that, but again, it's SummerSlam and we've been told that this is going to be this year's WrestleMania. It's going to be huge. They've gone out of the way. Stephanie has even said in interviews that there'll be a lot of surprises. That she has openly told everyone there are going to be a lot of surprises. So let's see what happens because SummerSlam is going to be huge. And if on such a big card you add a Sheamus and McIntyre, maybe open the show, that would mean so much because hardcore wrestling and it could be awesome.
I sense that, now that McIntyre is taken off the picture, I think he goes through Money in the Bank, the ladder match. I think they are eventually going to book Lashley and Lesnar because Lesnar is mostly coming back for that match. But in some form or some fashion, I think McIntyre gets added to that match to, take the pin at least.
Oh, such a big name taking a pin. So, yeah, let's see what happens because Lesnar is returning. Where is Lesnar returning? That's also a question because most people are predicting that Lashley Lesnar is happening. How? How do you know? He could go to Friday Night SmackDown and you put Paul Heyman in a position of who he's going to support, Lesnar or Reigns. So that could be a good feud. It's not necessary that Lashley and Lesnar has to happen. Book it for WrestleMania 38. Why book it for SummerSlam? Wouldn't it be too early and all of that stuff? So yeah, Lesnar needs to return. He's a big name. Viewers will also appear when Lesnar returns because casual viewers watch the big names. And yeah, Lesnar and Lashley and McIntyre in a triple threat. My God, they'll have to, as WWE commentators say, reinforce the arena for this one, reinforce the city for this one because it's going to be a gigantic clash.
That was Hell in a Cell, man. So, what do you give your overall rating for this pay-per-view?
I rated a 7 on 10. I reduced 1 for Alexa and Shayna because I'm not judging on story. I'm judging on the match. I'm reducing 1 for Alexa and Shayna. I'm reducing 2 for Lashley and McIntyre. So my rating is 7 on 10.
So I think I will also give it a 7 because of that same, points and facts you laid out here. So yeah, man. But I'm really kind of excited, for Money in the Bank. I hope we get some certain logical storylines heading towards the pay-per-view.
Yeah, today is June 21st in India, guys. June 20th in US, let's assume US. So June 20th, you are less than a month away from crowds returning. So we probably have max to max 4 episodes of Raw and SmackDown on the trot in the Thunderdome. So enjoy the Thunderdome for the next few weeks. And July 16th is the date when SmackDown returns. So July 18th will be Money in the Bank. So they're doing it in a similar style as SummerSlam last year. They did the go home in Thunderdome to begin, and they're doing the go home of SmackDown. So Tribal Chief as the first entrance in front of the crowd. So that's going to happen, and I am really excited too.
So Spandan, before we leave, where can these guys find you?
Okay, you guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at GharBaiteBC. I do vlogs, talk shows, special videos. You can find me there. And do subscribe, follow, and do all of that stuff to Slamhub as well.
And you can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamHubW, Instagram at SlamHub Wrestling. You can catch this review on audio platforms like Spotify and Anchor. So this was the Hell in a Cell review, and we'll see you guys next time.